My girlfriend said, "You need to impress my friends," then handed me a $2,000 dinner bill. I smiled and said, "No problem." She was mortified when the waiter returned and announced to them. I'd been dating Jessica for about 4 months when she invited me to dinner with her college friends. She picked this super fancy steakhouse downtown where the menu didn't even have prices listed. You know, the kind of place where they fold your napkin for you when you go to the bathroom? Her 3 friends showed up dressed like they were going to a wedding. Designer bags, expensive jewelry, the whole deal. They barely looked at me when Jessica introduced us. Just gave me these fake smiles and went back to talking about their jobs and vacations. Throughout dinner, they kept ordering the most expensive stuff on the menu. Bottles of wine that cost more than my rent. Appetizers I couldn't even pronounce. Jessica was laughing louder than normal, trying extra hard to fit in with them. I ordered a regular steak and water. Jessica gave me this look like I was embarrassing her. One of her friends, Amanda, actually said out loud, "Oh honey, don't be shy. Get whatever you want." Like I was some charity case. The conversation was brutal. They talked about their beach houses, their new cars, trips to Europe. Every story was designed to show off how much money they had. Jessica kept touching my arm and laughing at everything they said. When the check came, the waiter placed it directly in front of me. Jessica didn't even reach for her purse, just looked at me with this expectant smile. Her friends were all watching, waiting to see what I'd do. That's when Jessica leaned over and whispered, "You need to impress my friends. This is important to me." The bill was $2,043 for 5 people. I looked at it, looked at Jessica, then at her friends who were all pretending not to stare. I smiled real big and said, "No problem." Jessica relaxed. Her friends nodded approvingly. Amanda even said, "See, I knew he was a gentleman." I pulled out my wallet and placed my credit card on top of the bill. But then I did something they weren't expecting. I called the waiter over and asked him to split the check 5 ways. Jessica's face went completely white. "What are you doing?" she hissed under her breath. The waiter looked confused but said he'd adjust it. I smiled at the table and said, "We're all adults here with jobs, right? Seems fair that everyone pays for what they ordered." You should have seen their faces. Amanda's mouth was literally hanging open. Another friend, Brittany, started fumbling for her purse. Jessica grabbed my arm hard and pulled me aside. She was furious. "I told you this was important," she whispered. "You're making me look cheap in front of my friends." I kept my voice calm. "You ordered a $90 steak, 2 appetizers, and 3 glasses of wine that cost $35 each. I ordered a $40 steak and water. Why would I pay for everyone else's food? But you said no problem." "Yeah, no problem paying for my meal. I never agreed to bankroll your friends." The table went completely silent when we sat back down. The waiter came back with 5 separate bills. Mine was $52, including tip. Jessica's was $387. Amanda's was $425. The other 2 were around $300 each. They all pulled out their credit cards looking miserable. Nobody was making eye contact. As we were leaving, Amanda made some comment about me being rude. I turned around and said, "If you can afford a $400 dinner, you can afford to pay for it yourself. Don't use other people to look rich." Jessica didn't talk to me the whole drive home. When we got to her apartment, she finally exploded. "You embarrassed me in front of my friends. They're going to think I'm dating some cheap loser." I looked at her and said, "Your friends spent the whole night trying to make me feel poor. They ordered expensive stuff knowing you expected me to pay. That's not impressing anyone. That's being used." She tried to argue, but I was done. I told her if she needed someone to bankroll her lifestyle to impress fake friends, she should find someone else. I broke up with her that night. 2 weeks later, I got a text from Jessica. Turns out her friends had been doing the same thing to her for years, making her pay for dinners, trips, and events just to stay in their group. After I split that bill, she realized how toxic they actually were. She apologized and said she cut them all off, but I didn't take her back. If someone shows you who they are when money's involved, believe them.